have anything to do with it.
Yeah, so hi, this is the Drupal usability meeting for the 10th of July 2018. We have a whole bunch of media issues to look at. I don't know what's the relative priority of them, so I will let that be set by media people. Who wants to start?
I think the issue that Adam wants to talk about is the most important one.
So that's the media widget?
That is the media widget. And that one, so I have read the code of that issue a number of times over, and it looks good to me. It's about as good as it's going to get. We need accessibility and UX sign-off, and that would complete our major 8.6 goals for the media library. So currently, what we have is a video of what it looks like right now, and this is accurate as of this moment, and I just pasted the link there. I figure we don't, I mean, we could do a thing where we all like sit here and watch the movie, but you guys can probably look at it yourselves. And there's been a little bit of UX feedback. Sean did a review, I think yesterday, no, he did a review today and found a few things. Sam responded to those. Most of them need sort of input from UX about whether it would be something we could defer to a follow-up or if it's a blocker or what. And that is every comment since number 70. And let me just give you a direct link to that. Is that discussion. So yeah, Sean, do you want to talk about some of the things you found? And do you have a screen share set up?
I can try.
All right. Yeah. Also, does anybody know where Andrew McPherson is? Because he has been completely unresponsive on the accessibility channel, and he's like the only dude who knows anything about this from an accessibility standpoint.
Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. The accessibility thing is also important. Well, let me just start with what I noticed when reviewing the patch. And the first thing I saw was the button on the widget says add media, which felt kind of weird to me because in the media library, like an admin content media, it also says add media, but when you click that, you go to the media form to add new media. And in this case, you just open a modal with the media library, and you can't actually add new media. So maybe at the moment, the add media button is a little bit confusing, and it should maybe say select media or something. Does anybody have an opinion on that to start?
I would agree with that. Select media sounds good to me.
Choose would be slightly shorter.
Sure.
Choose also sounds like a great option to me.
I think once it's available to add new media, though, it needs to change. But until it's possible to add new media, it should not say add media. But once it is possible, then choose media will be kind of misleading because you cannot only choose from existing media, but you can also add. So eventually.
Yeah, that's a good point. So this would be an interim step to make the button say choose media, and then I don't know why I like select better, but it doesn't matter. One of those two, we can fight it out on this call and then come to a consensus. But yeah, and then later on, when we get the other thing in there, then we'll we'll change it back to add, because that is what it should say ultimately.
Yeah, that's exactly what Sam also proposed. Like in the end, we would want it to add media in the library there as well. So since we have to change the widget later anyways.
Ooh, I really like browse media. Browse is a great word.
Yeah, I have no strong opinion on browse, choose, or select, but the add media for now is probably not the best one. Okay, so I think we agreed a little that add is for now not the best term, and we can discuss the specific replacement in the issue maybe. The second point I found was the apply filters button is not related to the form, and Adam already noticed that way at the beginning of the issue. And Sam responded to this by saying this is done automatically by some code.
Yeah, that's a feature, or I don't know if it's a bug or a feature. I think it's a feature that is now looking more like a bug of the dialogue system in Drupal, where like any submit buttons found in the modal content are just copied down to the bottom. And that sucks, but it's not something we can fix in this issue. That to me seems very clearly out of scope.
It might be tied to the actions handler, meaning it's grabbing it from, you're putting an actions container around the button or something like that. There might be a way to tweak the filter. I mean, I can look into it on the issue. I'll make a note. So Adam, I think there's a workaround, like a not hacking core at all.
If there is a workaround, I'd love to hear it. Although technically, since it's a core issue, we are hacking core. But yeah, we don't want to refactor the dialogue system just to get this fixed. But yeah,
yes.
Let me know what you find out.
Yeah, I dealt with it in the web form module. I have like a lot of dialogues.
Okay. I think like if we can't fix it, I'm comfortable just kicking that to a follow-up and calling it out of scope if UX agrees.
Yeah, that's an important thing. Like, is this a blocker or not?
It's definitely not ideal, but I don't think it's a blocker. I think Drupal would be better off with this functionality in it than not with this functionality in it, with the buttons more closely located to the filter. The screenshot, unfortunately, doesn't do this issue justice, because normally this will not just be one little pithy 4, images in one row thing. This will be like massive, right? Like at least 3 rows down, so that it even furthers the distance between the two. Is that correct?
Depending on your screen size, probably, yeah.
Yeah. However, I at least, not being a UX person, but being a product manager, I would say I'd rather have this functionality in core in 8.6 than fuck around with that. So I'm comfortable with it being a follow-up if it's not easy to fix.
So when it's not in the modal, when it's the standalone media library, that button is placed near the top, isn't it?
Correct.
But 100% +1 to let's not refactor the dialogue system as part of getting in a media library widget. So
yeah, we actually already have a blocker in views. It's just about ready to go, and I think we can afford only that blocker.
In fact, why don't we open a follow-up for this and just like, because I'm really concerned that, like, what I was told, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but what I was told is that unless we get this issue in, then there is no point in shipping with the media library that we already have in. Is that still the feeling of the media team?
It is the feeling of me, because the media library is there mostly to be reusable. Without this field widget, it's basically just a prettier version of what we already have.
Right. So given that, yeah, I would say whatever we can push to follow-ups, we should. So I would push that one to a follow-up. I would not block commit of this on this issue, but I would make it, I don't know if I'd make it major, but it will be a problem. I remember running into this when I was testing it as well. So you're not alone, Sam. So.
Okay, +1.
Okay.
Sean.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. So the next one I've noticed was that the titles of the media items are clickable and they link to the edit page. And you do get like another pop-up telling you that if you actually go through with your action, that you're losing all the information you entered in the parent form you were in. But still, I don't really see the added value for the added media link here. And it probably, I don't know, bite people in the ass more than actually add value. So yeah.
Right. So that one, because it's a data loss issue, actually would love to see that addressed prior to commit.
So I have a thought on that. Sorry, go ahead, Angie.
No, go ahead.
I have a thought on that because what you're seeing in the modal is kind of a cloned display of the original media library view that we committed. I think it might actually be very easy for us to remove that edit link, such that all you can do in that modal is choose media and that's it. Would that be an acceptable fix?
That's an acceptable fix. The better fix would be that link turns into a view link and it opens a new window, because otherwise the only thing you can see is a thumbnail, which may or may not give you the best idea of what media you're actually selecting.
That might actually also be possible.
Okay. That I think
okay.
Ultimate best thing. But it seems like if you even add a target new onto this somehow, that might be enough to get us out of commit blocker situation.
Okay, so that one is a commit blocker.
I would say that one's a commit blocker because you will lose data on the rest of the form if you don't do it right. So,
yeah, you are warned, but I'm pretty sure that people will still be annoyed if they click over.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like a target blank acceptable? Are we doing that in other places?
I think we are, even if it's like, I don't know if that's like considered the optimal solution, but my feeling is it's an experimental module. Like we can make it better later if there's a better way of opening a new tab. That's my feeling about it.
We should open a follow-up for it as well, because it is tricky because we're inside of a modal. So we have target new in other places, but not like modalception. Because like ideally what would happen is you'd click and it would open a modal on top of the modal that's like, here's your thing. And then you go, okay, great, click, to show. But anyway, so like there's other interactions we could talk about. But in terms of like fixing the immediate problem, unfortunately, I don't think just removing the links is enough, because once again, that makes it so the only thing you can see is a tiny thumbnail, and there's no way to view a larger version of that image. And I think that's what people are going to want to see when they're in this situation.
So should we then link to the detail page or the edit page?
I would link to the detail. Like I would link to like the equivalent of node view for media, personally. That's my 2 cents. I don't know what other people. I feel like I'm talking a lot, and there's lots of other people, including actual designers on this call. So maybe I should stop talking.
Any word from any thoughts, actual designers?
I'm not really sure, but I think I remember that we actually talked about that, and we said that we were just going to remove the link. I don't even remember when we said that, but
then why don't we just do that as a short-term solution, and then can we open a follow-up though to discuss what should happen there? Yeah, I think the critical thing for the commit blocker is let's get rid of the data loss problem. So what we definitely don't want to have happen is you click a link and then it opens up something that destroys all the information you've entered. So stopping that happening is priority number 1. And then maybe a major for figure out the interaction for how this is supposed to work. Because my concern with removing the links altogether is that if you like I might upload several screenshots of, say, like a text message back and forth or something, and then it's really difficult to make out between 2 very similarly looking thumbnails which is which. And then it becomes a really frustrating, like, try that. Nope, that wasn't it. Edit, change the media. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But we don't have to solve it in this issue. So that's a good point. So yeah, if we remove the links, that's probably the way to go on that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
So remove links plus follow-up.
All right.
Yeah, I was talking and I got my mic off. So number 4 is actually the same problem, but then after you selected it, you get like a small view in the widget. with also an edit link. And I think we can safely do the same thing for both. So remove the link here as well. Yep, I thought about like in the end, we might want an extra edit button or something next to it, so you can edit one or more of the media items, actually one at a time. And that's what we do in Entity Browser right now. And I feel that kind of works. So, but we could probably fix that later.
So just remove the link from the actual selected items.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, we should be able to do that somehow, I would imagine.
Yeah, because the idea was on the previous issue, it was like, if you really need more information here, you probably will want to change from the grid mode to a table or something like that. So that's how you get actually more things to do with that, a whole new ways to interact with it, probably.
So, can you repeat that, Christine? I didn't quite catch that.
So on the design for the media itself, not here, but on the media itself, we actually added that. I'm not sure if at the end it was on the patch, but the idea was to have two views, the grid, well, two views, two displays for that, the grid and the table, I think it was, with more information about each item. And probably actions like edit or view or something like that. The problem is that here, for example, adding an edit and a view button, it will be super crowded. It will be too much information here. And also adding here, let's say, a 3 lines text and so on. It doesn't look like a grid anymore. So maybe in the future we could add an option to just switch from the grid and to a table and the opposite to solve that. Just a proposal. I don't know what you think.
I like that idea as a follow-up, where if you're looking at the selected items as a grid. So if I understand you correctly, Christina, it's like when you're looking at the selected items as a grid, you're just looking at the thumbnails, kind of like what we have now, except without the links. But if you actually want to have additional stuff like a drop button with operations and maybe the media type and all this, there could be an alternate way that it looks like a table or something, and that's like that would probably be something that you would configure for that form, where it's just like, oh, this time, after I select stuff, I want it to look like this, and that would be a follow-up.
I wonder if the better way to handle that is a link somewhere from this, like, to the media view, like the admin files, media, or whatever the path is, to go and do stuff like that. Because I feel like
from the selected items.
Yeah, or something like, like, not saying to do this as part of the patch, but I'm saying like, in a follow-up when we discuss how to do this. But I just feel like if you add image manipulation stuff to the node edit form, that's going to get really, really, really fast.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
So I'm not sure if I catched it. You are saying that you kind of miss a way of from the grid or from this thumbnail going to the view or the edit page for this?
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm just talking here. This isn't commit blocker territory, but like the reason that these things all had links to begin with is that as you're composing your node, you might find the media isn't cropped the certain way you want it, or like whatever is a problem with it. Yeah. And you might want to make adjustments to it as you're creating your content. So like a really like low key way of accomplishing that is just have a link somewhere in this description above the thing to say, to view all media, click here. I don't know what. Maybe it doesn't make any sense.
No, it makes sense. I mean, the use case, it makes a lot of sense, but maybe you don't want to edit it at the moment that you are selecting it. I mean, maybe what we could do is just give these options, and when you click on edit, you can edit it in the page itself you are editing. Well, if you are adding an image,
yeah, like quick edit on your media items on the view part. I mean, that would be
crazy thing that I don't have to do.
Oh God, don't say quick edit.
I'm sorry. I should put an alert before I said those words. Sorry. Content warning. I'm going to mention a module that y'all hate, but anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. So Christina, do you feel like, other than removing the edit and view or whatever, those little links that are outlined in red here, do you feel like there's anything for this team to do as part of this patch?
No, I agree with you. Just having a follow-up with that. It could be smarter. It could be smarter, I think.
Okay.
Cool. And the last thing I noticed was kind of related to it, because now when you have video and images set up for your field, it's kind of hard to see the difference between an image and a video without using the filters. And especially since the YouTube thumbnails could look a lot like images you already have. I think it would be helpful to see what is a video and what is an image. But Sam told me that was already discussed when building the media library view. So it's definitely a follow-up, I think, but still something to consider when creating updated designs or when thinking about how the media library should look.
Right. I would mention that this, to me, this issue is kind of a pre-existing condition, because if you create, say, 3 images and 3 videos, and then look at the media library as we currently have it in core, you have the same problem. There's no indication of what type they are, because it was decided several UX calls ago, I think, to remove that from the view, because I forget exactly what our reasoning was. I think it's just we couldn't figure out a way to slot it in there cleanly. I don't know if we have a follow-up open for that, but we maybe would want to open one, because that sounds like a good place. Because I mean, I think it's a legit concern, and it's also there's more implications here than just, well, let's just slap a play button on top of anything that's a video, because what if you had, say, Instagram posts in there, which are also based on photos? It's like, how can you tell the difference between an image and an Instagram? So that's sort of a bigger conversation there. TLDR, I think we should make it a follow-up.
Yes, I agree.
So what's the difference with a photo and an Instagram photo?
The difference between a photo and an Instagram photo is that an image is something you upload directly into Drupal, and an Instagram is something you're linking to. So that would change the nature of the media item. That changes the nature of the media item itself. You edit them differently. They might have different fields attached. They're completely different media types. I mean, it probably wasn't the best example because, as you said, Christina, it's like, Instagrams are all photos, or mostly photos. So, maybe to a user, there's not a whole lot of difference. My point is just that media is so kind of freewheeling in terms of the concept of what a media item is, that it's hard to guarantee that everything is going to always be that it's hard to basically visually distinguish between different media types at a glance, or it could potentially be hard.
So if, for example, it's a video, I think in the previous designs, in the previous issue, there was an icon above the videos. I think a play icon or something like that.
Right.
The thing is that if, for example, there's a tweet or something like that, I have no idea what to do there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the best way of showing the media with grid.
I was gonna say this feels like the kind of thing that other people probably already figured out, so we can just do a survey real quick. Not a survey, like a question survey. Just like somebody go to Facebook and Instagram and Squarespace and a few other things and see how they handle this problem, and then just copy one of them. You know, I don't think this isn't treading new ground. Every media library has this requirement to differentiate between a video and not a video. So
fair enough.
Yeah, I would say just for videos, I don't know if it's a blocker, but if it's a blocker for videos, just add the icon for the play, and for the rest, let's make a follow-up or something.
Yeah, I think it's fine to do the whole shebang as a follow-up personally.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's gonna lose data because of choosing a video instead of a, it's just highly irritating. And highly irritating can be a follow-up, I think.
I agree. That's almost a slogan for this. Highly irritating can be a follow-up. That's the Media Initiative's official thing right there.
Oh, no.
So to sum it up real quick, we're going to change the add media to something like select or browse or choose.
Okay, real quick, let's have an actual poll. Oh, hold on. There's a way to do a poll in Slack. How do I do it? Poll. Okay. What should we? Hold on. How does it go? Okay. What should we? The button question mark. So options are. Select media, browse media, and there was another one. Choose media. Any other ones?
I think that's it.
Boom. Oh, god damn it, that didn't work. Oh, it did work! Sweet! Okay. So now if you guys go into Slack, there's an option you can select. We'll see if we get a consensus here. We don't have any consensus. This is awesome.
Okay. I think browse is winning.
Okay, browse is winning.
Okay.
Come on, browse. Come on.
Browse.
We need like
yes.
Like frogs hopping or something like that.
It's like a horse racing track, It's like, and it's browsed by a mile.
Awesome. I like it.
Sorry, I like to leave these calls with a spec, because if we say like, oh, we'll figure that out in the issue, it's like, no, that's going to take like 9 weeks. So let's figure it out on the call. So
I agree.
So
the first one would be browse media. For the second one, we'll open a follow-up, like the apply filters button to move it. For number 3 and 4, we're going to remove the link for now and open a follow-up to improve the media library or the tile view, the grid view. And also take the media type into consideration while looking at the improvements for the library. Did I miss anything?
I think that sounds like a great summary, actually. Thank you.
I like it. Will you summarize it in the issue, Sean?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me.
All right. I think that we can move on. I know we had 2 other media items that we wanted to talk about, so I guess we can move on to that. And if anybody sees Andrew McPherson show up on accessibility, tell him to ping me, or I'm going to literally fly over there and ping him myself. I won't literally fly over there, but I'm going to be really petulant.
I kind of feel like, I don't know. How long have you been blocked on accessibility feedback?
As long as this issue has existed, I think. I just it's not even so much blocked. We just want sign off on it. Yeah. And anything commit blocking needs to be found right now.
Right. I don't know. It's tagged needs accessibility review? Yeah.
I think so. It's definitely tagged with accessibility something. What do we got down there, Sean?
I'm looking.
Yeah, I think we have accessibility review on there.
Oh, I can see it in the bottom, of course. Where is this?
Yep, needs accessibility review.
Yes.
Okay. And then presumably that's been on there for at least a couple of weeks. So
yep.
I think I don't want to speak for the accessibility team, but I feel like that definitely has.
It was actually added in comment number 2 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like that's given them ample opportunity to speak up if they had concerns. So maybe try pinging them in the channel one last time. But yeah, summers are just hard because people go on vacation and shit, and spend time with their families or whatever. I don't know.
How dare they?
But you guys have done everything you can do on that. So I don't, I don't know. I would strongly advocate that, it's not like this was trying to be like under the radar of the accessibility team or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like as long as you're doing everything you can do in your power, the governance basically has a provision. It's like if you don't get a response from a subsystem or topic maintainer.
But it's super based on the other issue that was already committed. So a lot of work comes from there.
Yeah, actually, do we even need accessibility review of this specifically? Because it's just literally the same thing they already reviewed in a button.
The part that we need accessibility review on is the actual, like, it's not the view in the modal, because you're right. There's nothing to that. It's once you select the media items and you want to like reorder them and all this kind of stuff, how they appear, if it's obvious that the selections are there. So it's more the widget part and not so much what's in the modal that needs accessibility review.
That's fair. I mean, the truth is, once this gets committed, like assuming this gets committed by Alpha Deadline, well, whenever it gets committed, then accessibility issues would be surfaced as bugs at that point, and then we can still commit.
Okay, so it's not the end of the world.
I am hoping it's not the end of the world. I am not a release manager, so take what I say with kind of a grain of salt, but I feel like we can't be holding up, like if people are legit busy with life, we can't hold up like really important strategic initiatives for Drupal indefinitely on that. So,
okay. So
you've surfaced it as well as you can, and all the right people have been told about it. If we can't get them to feedback in time, but everything else is ready, then my preference would be to commit it and then fix whatever problems we didn't find in follow-ups that are critical or major, one of the two.
Okay. So in the meantime, I will beg, bother, or bribe Andrew McPherson.
Yeah, please, or in the general, the accessibility channel, I think. So, try to take some pressure off Andrew specifically, but yeah, I think pinging the accessibility channel and just saying, look, we really, really are trying to get this into 8.6. If we don't, here's the consequences. We need someone to look at this part of the patch specifically. That'll help a lot. So they don't have to read 150 fucking comments to figure out what's going on. And, offer to do a patch walkthrough or whatever. But there's only so much you can do. So I think as long as you're doing those things, then I'm comfortable advocating for it to be committed, despite not having accessibility review personally. Because I know this team will fix whatever comes up. It's just a matter of surfacing that stuff early enough, right? And you're trying. You're genuinely trying to get it surfaced in time. So, yeah, that'd be my 2 cents.
Right, cool. If we want to move on to the other issues, I'm cool with that.
Sure. We had, this is a way easier one. Well, I shouldn't say that probably. Do you see the screen switch?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is an issue about where we should redirect after you created a media item. We talked to a bunch of people about this, and we noticed that having a detail page of like the media view of a specific media item is probably not going to be used in most of the cases, but it's hard to say that because we don't have actual statistics about this. We just base this on the people we talk to and our own experiences. So having a link back to the media item itself, so media/ID, is most of the time a bit confusing. People would either want to view the media library or like add another media item. And we felt like linking back to the media library or the media table view, wherever you came from, would make a little bit more sense, because from there you can choose to add a new media item or view the item you just created anyway. And it gives you a little bit more options than just linking to media/ID, where you can only view what you just created and edit it. So I hope I explained this well, but do any of you have opinions on this?
So for this one, I feel like we should just copy whatever nodes do. And as far as I know, what nodes do is they just take you back to wherever you got to the edit form from. So if you got to the edit form from the view page, you clicked edit, then when you save, it would take you back to the view page. If you got there from admin content, whatever, then it would take you back to the admin content listing. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
For edit, yes, but for when you add a new one, it doesn't. When you add a new one, you always go to node/ID.
Okay. I guess, I don't know. I would say if we keep it consistent with that, that's probably the thing to do for now. I guess I'm trying to just think, well, how did they get to that add link to begin with?
From the library.
Yeah. So I guess if that's the only place they can get to that add link, for now it is. That probably makes sense to go back to the media listing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's
especially what they just did will be at the top of the table. That would be the only reason not to do it that way, is if the thing they just created is nowhere to be seen in that library, that's going to be very confusing.
Yes, but Node doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Node just shows you the article you just created.
Yeah.
But for media, it makes a little less sense, I think, because having a fully themed media detail page is not something that most sites do, in my experience.
Yeah, I agree with.
I mean, the only reason arguing against that would be like if I add a YouTube video, for example, the first thing I want to do is hit the play button and make sure it worked, and that I can only do from the view detail page, right?
Yes.
And even if I upload an image, I probably also want to see, like, again, you only get that little tiny thumbnail.
Well, we tried to fix that by having the message that you you just created, blah blah blah, and then have it be a link. So if you can just click the title of the thing you just created, then you go to the detail page of it anyway. Yeah. But at least you have a little bit more options.
Yeah. Okay. I think then I'd be comfortable with it. And Christina, you said you like redirecting back to the listing as well?
Yeah, makes sense. I don't think a media should be treated like a node or complex content. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Okay, then +1. This particular thing, though, I don't think has to be an alpha target. Like, I think this is just a thing that can happen anytime. So,
well, the patch is done, I think. We have tests for it. Only we need usability review. So if any of you can comment on the issue,
sure,
+1 it or show concerns or whatever, please do. So, and then I think this could be finished relatively easily.
Are there screenshots that show what you're talking about, so we can just review those?
I will make sure I add those.
Yeah, cool. So if there was a screenshot that was like, you know, here's the media listing before, you click add, here's the form, you click save, here's the message at the top, and here's your media at the top of the table, then I would totally sign off on that.
Okay, cool. That was easier. I think the last one is what Marcos proposed. I can open the issue for you, Marcos, but if you would like to talk about this yourself.
It's the same. Well, maybe if I, yeah, well, yeah, I think it's easier if I share the screen. Then I can scroll up and down and not.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's just see how this works.
Yes, I stopped. Okay.
Yeah, so I hope you can see my screen. I will paste the address so you don't have to type it if you don't want to. But basically, this is about showing some warning messages on the UI, basically. There are two parts of the problem. One is making sure the access control is probably what people expect, but we're not anywhere near solving that problem right now. So this issue specifically is about, let's at least reduce the confusion and make it clear that maybe what they expect is not what they get out of the box. And for that, the proposal is to add some warnings to the UI. Basically, the problem is that without media, if you have a private file field to a node, then if that node is unpublished, then anonymous users, for example, cannot get to the document even if they have the URL to the file. If you have a private file on a media item, however, and you unpublish the node where you're using that media item, then everyone can have access to your private document, even if the node is unpublished, because the media is published, and everyone has access to the media item by default in Drupal. So that's the problem, and that's what we want to warn users. So the idea was, well, whenever they add a field, this is probably very tiny. I hope you can at least get a sense of, well, I can show this here, maybe. So this is the field UI. The first idea was, let's show a warning here saying, hey, you configured this field to be private. Be aware that this doesn't work out of the box. And probably link to a documentation page saying, maybe there are some solutions there. You can go and figure it out. And also, Gabor suggested that we could also show the same warning on the status page saying the same thing. Then Jess provided some feedback saying that maybe the warnings were a little bit too strong, and we could have, instead of warnings, we could have just normal text. And so that's the latest proposal. To have, actually, we have 3 places where we are showing text on the UI, and that's what I would like to hear some feedback on. Basically, are those 3 places the best ones? And then, is this text the best one? And also, is this whole thing a good idea? But, so the 3 places are the field UI page, the status report page, and also a generic help text on the help page. So the help is just be aware that they are different. Media and private file access are not the same thing. The status report actually shows you what media types are using the private file storage. And then on the UI as well, you are warned that you have configured a private file, a private field, and by default, it's not inheriting access from the parent entity. One important thing is that those messages only show when you have this configuration scenario. If you only have public file fields, sorry, on your site, you will never get those messages. So it's just when a field has been configured to use the private storage. And that's it. I don't think, probably running out of time, I don't think we need to figure out the best wording for this right now. I think the feedback at this point that would help most is, yeah, having a message makes sense or not. And second, where those messages should be placed. And then what the text ultimately should be, but that can be also discussed in the issue. Any questions?
Yeah, can media items be published and unpublished?
They can, but that doesn't really solve your problem because.
No, I'm just
Oh yeah,
asking questions.
It totally can, and to be fair, Drupal will honor that setting. So if you manually unpublish your media item, then your private file is safe.
And so the point is that media aims to make our images and videos reusable. So in fact, even without media, even with just image file fields, it's possible to attach the same file to two different nodes, and one of those nodes might be published and one might be unpublished. But I don't think there's any UI to do that. You have to jump through hoops to make that happen. Yeah. And here we're making it easy to reuse media. So that's why it becomes an issue, right?
That's correct, yeah. Oh, that's why the inheritance doesn't happen right now, because before we only had a one-to-one relationship. One file was only attached to one parent entity, so that inheritance of the access inheritance was kind of easy to calculate. Right now, it's a media entity can be referenced from many places. So how do you decide which of those parents are going to grant or deny access to the user? Or that's way more complicated to solve. And but that's not the scope of this issue. Here, the idea is just to make explicit, because lately we have been seeing some issues popping up saying, "Hey, there's a security bug. My files are exposed," and we want just to avoid inadvertent exposure of people's sites if they are not aware of this behavior, and if they don't test their sites enough. So that's the idea here, just to make clear what the behavior is. Any other questions or restrictions or complaints?
Yeah, I already spoke up in the issue, but I think given that fixing the actual problem sounds like it's kind of a can of worms, the messaging sounds like a good approach, like a middle ground approach to, we're not going to fix this problem, but at least we're going to notify people that this is how it works so they don't inadvertently create problems for themselves. So +1 on the general direction anyway.
There's also one detail I didn't mention that we discussed with Gabor in Lisbon, that maybe a site has fixed this problem themselves with custom code, or I don't know, with a country module or whatever. So it would be good to have a way of switching off these messages if a person knows what they are doing. So the patch actually implements a drush command that they can, well, it's a configuration settings that they can just run and disable the warning, basically. So I think
I would instead have the warning wrapped in an if message that somehow, I don't know if there's like a file callback or something that they can use to, like, ideally Drupal would only show you this message if it was relevant. And ideally there'd be a way to call like hook file download, or I don't know what, to determine that, but I guess that's tricky. But a configuration setting for it doesn't make any sense to me. We don't allow you.
That configuration is not exposed on the UI anywhere.
No, I know, but that's still odd. It's like we don't offer the ability to. There's no configuration setting to turn off update status, even if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, true. Yeah, we can. I personally don't know if we can really identify if the problem is solved. Maybe I miss the way of doing that, but it's just because custom code can do whatever access checks they need, and for each user the access is going to be different, so it's difficult to detect if they are solving that generically or not. So I would be okay with leaving that, leaving the message always there, but if the configuration is really sounds weird. But
I think this generally points to a need we have elsewhere in core of like a dismiss this, kind of API for that message. But I would advocate against handling it in a one-off way here.
Okay.
Like, if anything, we should find, I'm sure an issue exists for that. We should find that issue and like, hey, this would be really helpful over here, kind of that kind of thing. But I definitely wouldn't put a hidden variable that people have to run drush commands. It's just like, no, thank you. Just I would make the message basically just like accommodate, both scenarios, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So if I get it right, time-wise, do you think is it important to get this once? I don't know how this works. Once this is a UI new text, does it need to be before alpha? If this,
yeah, that's a really good question. So new UI text should be okay up until release candidate. So we got a couple more. Yep.
Right.
Candidate is where we want like a string freeze, and that allows the translation teams to kind of get their stuff in order before we ship.
Right.
So we want to commit it after RC, but yeah, we definitely don't need it in before beta, or sorry, before alpha. Before alpha is new APIs, new modules, major refactoring to the user interface, or to like that kind of thing. New major library updates. That anything that's like this might break someone's site and or be a thing that they need to account for during the upgrades. We want that in as early as possible. But this kind of thing is just extra stuff in the admin settings. So if just string changes, you should be good up until RC.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you. I don't know if any of you want to comment on the issue. Otherwise, I can try to summarize. But maybe it's better if anyone that's not me that wrote the patch write something there. But I can totally do it. Just let me know if that's the idea. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. And I will stop screen sharing.
Thanks a lot. Way to have all your ducks in a row for this call. This is great. Like, very productive.
Yeah, and we are really on time.
Cool. Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye all.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.